Hi, my amazing planner friends. It's Jess from My Magical Planner, and today I'm going to be planning out the week of September 12th through the 18th using this beautiful kit from Harriet Wright Designs. It's called City Brunch. Now, I did get this over a year ago, so I don't think it's any longer in her shop. But she does have some other really beautiful kits over there, so I highly recommend checking her out. She's also where I get my inserts from, and I love those as well. So we're going to start with the headers at the top. I did decide to use, these were actually some day scripts that I had gotten from her in, I think, a grab bag that I just decided I liked them a little bit better than the ones that came with the kit because it would allow me to do a little bit more deco at the top. And I wanted to use up some different leftovers that I had hanging around in my sticker collection. So I'm using up some floral sheets from Vanilla Paper Co. And I have these garlands that I'd had from Sadie Stickers that again I'd gotten in a grab bag, and they've just been hanging out and it was time to use them because, you know, if you don't use stickers, what is the sense in having them? So I'm just kind of adding in little bits of floral here and there, and then the scripts, I went up and down on the scripts a little bit so they're not in a straight line, just to give more variety to the area and allow me to use more of those florals without overlapping them with the scripts so that you could still read them very easily. I think the key with putting down the garlands is just to play around with them a little bit and see what works for you. Have some repetition in the shapes, but not too much repetition. And then I started to pull in some of the dangle bits as well. I added in this floral to kind of connect these two spaces. Oh, there's last week's spread. I did not end up getting that plan with me up. I've misplaced the footage, so it may come up in a coming week, but probably not. I did post, I think, about it on Instagram, so if you want to see that spread, go over there and check it out. And I will be posting this week's spread up there as well after I have it all filled out with everything, so you can see the after the pen and everything up there. So anyhow, now I'm adding in some little straight line dangles. I thought these added a certain element of visual interest, and so it wasn't just a repetitive kind of crisscross of lines at the top, and I really liked the way that it added a little something up there. Now moving on to the second part of the week, I just want to do more of the same, and I'm varying where I'm bringing the florals in, if they're coming from below or above, and that's in part for a visual interest, so your eye will bounce back and forth. But it's also because I want to put these scripts in and I don't want it to be too busy in one spot and for you to not be able to read it. Because I am using the scripts and they are on a transparent paper, I do want to lay down the florals first because otherwise the florals are going to cover up some of that script. That's why I went back and put the floral down first before I put down the Friday script or the Saturday script. And then I can just kind of build everything around that. So I'm just adding in a few more florals, and then I'll fill in the rest of the space with the dangles. And I'm also going to come back in, I don't think it's on the video though, with some date dots to put in there as well. That'll be on the Instagram photo if you want to see that. Lately I've been forgetting to put my date dots in. I don't know why. I'm really bad at that though. I do like being able to have a couple of different dangle elements to pull from here as far as what the swoosh looks like and the variety of the dots in them. I think it adds a great visual interest. And I did come into an area here where I was like, oh, there's too much repetitiveness here. You'll see in a second. I'm going to pull some things up and kind of play with them a little bit more. That's the beauty of the paper that the Harriet Wright Designs inserts are on. It is a very forgiving paper for stickers. You can always pull stickers up without damaging the paper, unlike an Erin Condren where it sticks so well that you need something like undo often to move that sticker and not damage your paper. So just something to think about as people are thinking about planners for next year. I haven't quite decided what planner I'm going to be using. I'm ordered 2 so far. They're coming, but I'm not sure what route I'm going, which is so bad. I want to do them all, but I also know that I can't do them all because that's not the way my brain works. If you're having trouble deciding on your planner, I do have a video. As I say this, as I'm not decided on my planner, I do have a video that helps you decide on what type of planner might work best for you. So after I got everything done at the top, I did want to have a separation there. So I'm pulling in a trim from Paper Trail Plans. I love these particular trims. They're so ornate and just classy. She has some amazing collections coming out right now. One just got released today because it's Friday, and it is so beautiful. I'm probably going to end up ordering it this weekend, and I have an order here ready to unbox with you guys as well. So anyhow, I just love the intricacy of that and how it kind of gives a finished edge to the top. Next, I'm going to start working on my sidebar here. I knew I wanted to add in a September script up there at the top, and originally I thought I wanted this box here to go at the top and kind of overlay it, but then I was like, I don't like the visual of it. I don't like the way that it's going to come together up there. It's going to be too dark and everything. So I found this box, which just has a scalloped edge, which I really liked for this purpose. And this is me trying to decide, do I want to trim it off or do I want it to go underneath the floral? And after deciding September would totally fit if I tucked it under the floral and it would connect those 2 spaces, I decided to do it that way. And then I'm just going to add some floral for interest here. I'm going to lift up that sticker a little bit and just tuck it underneath. I love how easy it is to connect stickers like this. Then I pulled out these paper doll girls from Letters to Apollo, and I was trying to decide which one worked best with this kit, and I decided on this girl with these really tall brown pants. I think she's gorgeous. I think all these dolls are really gorgeous, honestly. They are rather tall though, so I will say that depending on your type of planning. I did also pull in another one of the garlands just to connect those 2 spaces a little bit better. Then I wanted to add in this swoosh. It's another sticker that's been kind of hanging out in my stickers for a while, and I wanted to add more florals, so I'm adding in the florals first. And then I had this idea of putting in the important script, and I was going to have this as a place to put something that was important this week. And I'm adding in the floral to the swoosh to kind of, I don't know, accent it a little bit better. I just thought it was kind of a cool combination, and that kind of blocks off that space for me to be able to write something in there. I did think about using the icon sticker. It's a fork and spoon for menu planning underneath, and then went, no, I don't like the icons. I think they're too big and too chunky for me. But I did want a list there, so I'm putting in the list, which I'm going to use for my to-dos. And then underneath of that, I will do my menu planning, which has been a little haywire. I'm struggling a little bit with my menu planning right now. And that's mostly my fault because of my health issues. I'm just running out of steam at the end of the day. And so I'm not having enough energy to really do more as far as meal planning. So I need to be doing more crock pot meals, which is my goal for this month. So, but those involve being aware that you need to start them in the morning. And I just am struggling a little bit with it. So that's the goal for next week, to do better on that and to better maintain my energy. I'm getting into the groove of things a little bit better with the school year, but it just takes more out of me. So I'm just using one of the washi strips from the kit at the bottom and trimming it down to an appropriate size. I just like the neatness of the edge of having it stop at where the column stops. Not everybody does. You can have it go all the way to the edge of your paper if you really wanted it to. It's just a personal preference for me. And it's really easy to trim these down. I'm just using a washi card actually that I gotta go wild for my straight edge. And there you kind of get a reverse look of what it looks like. And then I also wanted to add in another one of those trims, so I did that at the bottom of the washi there. I did lose a little bit of footage here. I didn't realize the camera battery died, so I did put a checklist at the top of every day but Tuesday, and then I put my boxes down for the most part at an angle because I saw somebody else do this, and I can't even remember who it was on Instagram, and I liked the way the spread came out, and I decided I wanted to give it a shot. So I'm just pulling in some little florals bits here, some trims to give accents, because even though it's not perfectly aligned inside of the column, I just like the way that it gave interest. It almost made me think of photos laying on a table, something of that nature, and I just thought it looked kind of pretty. And adding the trims on both ends really brought it all together. Below in that first column, I did put down a couple of garlands and then put a icon on top of it for figure skating so I could mark Megan's lesson for that week, which was really easy. And then below that, I do have just a plain box from the kit where I'm going to pull in some florals to mark Ethan going to work. And then below that, later, I did pull in a smaller icon to work in there as well to mark filming a video for my other channel, which is a Disney pin, like enamel pins channel. I'm also going back through and putting down some dot clusters just to add a little interest, and because I have them. So it's always good to use the stickers that you have, and rather than going back in and filling things at the end, I'm at least putting down what the different events are and then adding in a little bit more floral to kind of box in that area that was Megan's lesson. Moving on to Tuesday, I am putting a circle and I'm overlapping it with the decorative box that I have there just because of how much space those tend to take up. And I'm going to use that to mark a gastro appointment that I thought was this day. So what had happened is right after they released me from the trauma team, they had me set up a gastro appointment, and it wasn't made clear, I think, to them that I had gone through so much surgery and that I needed to be checked on sooner. So this was the original appointment that was made after the being released from the hospital. And when my gastro doctor figured out how far out that it was, because I was having trouble keeping food down, he pretty much immediately made a spot in his schedule to reschedule that, but I forgot to take it off the calendar. So that was a little bit awkward. But I have another month before I have to go see them again. I marked Megan's lesson there just with a nice little box, added some floral around it, and then I'm marking Dan had work this day as well. And then I decided to be a little bit more creative with the bottom portion. And I can't decide if I like the straightness of the boxes there or not. But I had to mark Megan had therapy this evening as well. And I'm just putting down a nice decorative box. I do like the fact that her boxes, even the more decorative ones, tend to have a whited out area in the middle. But I'm adding in these little twizzles. I don't know what else to call them. They were just leftovers that I had in my leftover book that I wanted to incorporate. And I think they're really fun. And then I'm using a half of a circle there at the bottom to mark going to bed early, because on Wednesday mornings, Megan has a 6 a.m. skills class and then a 6:30 skating lesson before school. And I'm using a Harriet Wright Designs little bed to mark that. And then I will come in and kind of tweak that area at the bottom here in a little bit. Moving on to Wednesday, I'm just using a normal box to mark that skills class and her lesson. As I said, it did end up getting canceled because she got a cold, and on top of that, she had standardized testing that morning, and we felt that skipping the two so that she could do better on her testing was the better option. So below that, I did pull in a box from the Pretty Pink Co. to mark my own therapy. And then below that, I'm going to mark Emily's speech. I decided I didn't like the box being at the straight, and so I put it at an angle. It does take up more space that way though. And I'm just marking in her speech, and I added in a little bow, I think, underneath. Yes, those bows. And just to add a little interest there and give us some division. And then below that, I needed to mark Dan's trombone tutor. His Wednesdays are incredibly booked, and I knew I wanted to use this little musical staff thing, and I had this leftover circle from a previous kit that I had pulled out because the colors matched. And I just really like the way this little bit came together. At first I thought I was going to use this circle floral and overlay the two, but it seemed too busy. So instead I ended up pulling in these curved pieces from Sticker Guru, and they're not quite dividers. I don't know what to call them, but they were perfect for this, and I ended up pulling them in a few more places, and it just really added a nice touch to the whole spread. So I highly recommend Sticker Guru. I used to be on their PR team. They have continued to give me a PR code, and that's linked down below. This is me going back in with a few more of those dot clusters. I try to put them in clusters of about 3 because that's more appealing to your eye, but not always. I mean, it just depends. So, and this is me going back to Tuesday and kind of monkeying around a little bit with this little squiggle. And then I was like, oh, I know what I'm going to mark here. I'm going to mark laundry. So I went and I pulled out a laundry. I will pull out a laundry icon. I forgot about this little bit. I'm using a leftover bit of like trim that I could put in there that to add some interest, and there's the laundry basket, because in this house with 6 people there is always laundry. I think I do at least 1 load a day. Moving on to Thursday, I didn't have as much going on Thursday. It's kind of the end of the week. We're winding down on things, and so I needed to mark planning time, which actually hasn't happened, because what ended up happening is instead of planning time, I went out to lunch with a friend, and unfortunately I made some bad food choices. So I ordered something that my stomach could not handle, and I ended up being sick the rest of the day, unfortunately. It is still quite the learning curve. If you're new to my channel, the deal with my stomach is that I had a medical procedure that went horribly wrong, and they accidentally punctured my bile duct and stomach, and so they had to close off a large portion of my stomach and reroute stuff, and so I just cannot handle certain foods, and I'm relearning how to eat essentially. But I marked doing laundry again here Thursday morning, because the first thing I do when I get up some mornings is start some laundry. And then below planning time, I'm marking Megan's lesson. I did get her to that, and that was fine. And then Dan had work this evening as well, so I need to mark that. Unfortunately, we had to jump there, but he's marked. I just used a decorative box. And then because this one didn't have as much whited out area, I went ahead and pulled in a MIDI box to mark his work without it blending in too much with the background. Then I'm pulling in just a circle down there at the bottom. I'm going to go ahead and use that to mark post on Instagram, which was my intention for Thursday. I don't think it actually happened though. And then I'm using another piece of that leftover trim down there below the decorative box and adding some floral. Then I'm going to go ahead. I thought I was going to use this squiggle there at the top to kind of divide from the checklist. The morning checklist really helped me to, one, stay connected with my planner and actually engage with it, but it also helps me to organize my thoughts in the morning. So I went ahead and I'm using that to mark that Ethan had to work today, and just added some more floral. I also pulled in this larger floral more for that divider purpose, and I'm going to pull in some of these decorative arches to go around the 2 boxes that I put straight to kind of frame it in And I think this is my favorite part of the whole spread, is how that ended up looking. It's just really kind of beautiful. I almost wish I had tucked some behind as well. And then I pulled in this leftover box from, I think it was actually a sticker guru kit, to be honest, to mark. I wanted to finish my audiobook. I have not done that today. It's been a busy day, but we did get the Prius in for an oil change instead. You know, things happen. So anyhow, I'm just writing everything in really quick. And then down there at the bottom, I wanted to mark Dan working, and I was like, I don't really like the way this box looks. And I was kind of trying different things. I did finally settle in on this little bullet point or arrow. They're smaller than other kits, and I actually really appreciate them. They work great in Hobonichis. However, I think she may have stopped putting them in her kits, and they're hard to find. You used to be able to order them just from her like that, and I wish I could again. But, you know, it is what it is. Moving on to the weekend, I have a pin channel collab. On here I marked it on Saturday, but it is actually going up on Sunday. It's just a bunch of Disney channels all together posting different collections. It's called All One Color, so it's all pins that are a specific color. So I'll link that channel down below in case you guys want to check it out. But besides that, I'm going ahead and just giving myself space down here to add in laundry. Always. And then I'm going to use that smaller box to mark that I want to do my editing and such tomorrow, and make sure everything is ready for the coming week. I'm trying to be better about that so that I don't miss any videos. And I'm just going through and adding a couple of little clusters to make things look better and to coordinate with the other half of the spread. And then I'm just going to go through and I'm going to take one of those circles. I really wanted to use it here, but I didn't want it just on its own. So I layered it with a leftover circle that I'd had from a different kit. And I'm using that to mark that I'm going to Renfest with my friend Meg this morning. I'm going to have such a good time. We haven't seen each other in months, so it's going to be amazing. And then the plan is to come home and it's going to be movie night with the kids, or at least that's the hope. So I'm marking that with just a large box, and then I put a midi box on it, as well as that icon, which I think was a Crafts by Thaowie, really old icon, maybe from a kit, but I just really love it. And I wanted to put that together. And then down there at the bottom, that square box is a leftover from another kit. I can't remember what kit though. And I'm just going through and adding in a couple more florals here and filling out the spread. But that's pretty much it for the week. So I hope you guys enjoyed this plan with me. And until next time, I'll see you guys real soon.